Welcome to Motivational Monday. This is Fed Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. Today, I want to discuss a name, but before we start, make sure to like, subscribe, and do share, especially if you find value in this presentation. Okay, so here it goes, and we're going to break it down. This story goes way back when I was in the real estate business, and I was showing some properties, and I had one client that I really walked them through the entire process of purchasing this particular property. And I had brought up everything. There was no loose ends. There was no bases that I didn't cover. Even disadvantages I brought up. I was kind of green. And I just wanted to be completely upfront with them and completely transparent. And I thought, and I still think that that's the best way to lead a good business name. Okay, and then we're going to back into this. And so I had all the information ready. I asked them for all the information so we get our lawyers to prepare the contract. And they sent in all the information on a Thursday. And that Friday, I didn't hear back from our secretary. So I told them to stay still. And then Monday morning, they sent me a message, the buyers, kind of, inquiring about what's going on. And I said, it's okay. It's by the secretary. Everything's done. We're closing on the deal. Nothing to worry about. Just waiting for the, technicalities for the lawyers to look over the contract and prepare the contract and send it to you. And then, out of nowhere, in the afternoon, they start calling the head office of this particular project, who's the presenter and who's the actual contractor for the work there. And they said, hey, this guy Fred never got back to us with a contract. And all of a sudden, the entire company just was upheaval. I had calls from 3-4 sources, saying why I wasn't doing the work in terms of providing all the information. And beknownst to the person who called me, and he said to me, this guy, he's waiting for you to hear from you. He's waiting to close from you, and you're not getting back to him. I was like, wait a second, let's just understand what just happened. And I said, I'll call you right back. And I called up my office to let them know what's going on. And my immediate supervisor, I let him know what's going on. And I kind of understood that this guy got jittery. He thought we were backing out. So he started, kind of getting anxious. And in the process, he didn't realize what he did. He just ruined my reputation completely. Like, here I am trying to make my inwards into this particular field, into this particular company. And I had done everything right. I sent in the information on time. It wasn't like as if I was, gaslighting the guy. I wasn't like, stonewalling him. I wasn't, all of a sudden, in another planet. And I said to the guy, I called him up and I said, I'm just curious. Did I tell you that everything was going to happen the way it was going to happen? So he said, yes. So I said, think about it in my situation. I presented everything to you. Now you called head office and you had complaint, right? Ultimately, it's a complaint. And now, as a result of that complaint, they called me, and now my reputation is tarnished within the company because I didn't get back to a client. So you say, right? And now, how am I going to fix this? 3-4 people have it in their heads that I didn't get back to you, but I did everything right. We're just waiting for the lawyers or the secretary, whatever it was, to get back to us with the contract in order to send it back to you. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I said, yeah, I know you're sorry to me. That part, I accept, thank you. But what about the repercussions? What about the collateral damage that you've done to my reputation with the people involved? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to call each person particular and apologize to them? Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And that is why a name is so important. So the moral of the story, obviously, know the facts before you jump into things, okay, obviously. But more important, how easy it is to tarnish a name. Just a small experience or a small little incident can completely destroy someone's reputation. And ultimately, it's our reputation that stands, as a backbone, and it's cumulative. It's not just, oh, I did something right 10 years ago, and that I didn't do it right, today. And, it's something that's cumulative because all the people you have an experience with, that is how they'll perceive that experience with you or your organization or your company or whatever it is. And so one's reputation is so important because it kind of has like a word of mouth. Like, there were certain industries that I was exposed to that, you kind of gave your word and that was it. That was good as gold, right? I mean, either some people in the real estate business or some people in the jewelry business or people in, certain trade businesses where your word was gold. Like I have a friend who's a jeweler and he tells me like he picks up like, 10, 15, 20, $30,000 pieces on consignment and, it's his responsibility. Like he loses it, it's on him, right? And that name, carrying such a name in any kind of market is so super important. It's so hard to build that trust, that, that reliance on having people rely on you and be confident in you. And then it could just vanish so easily and it could tarnish so quickly. So with that said, okay, a couple lessons here. Number one, realize that a name is super important and you shouldn't take it for granted. If you did build yourself a name in anything that you do, you want to have a good reputation. Doesn't mean that you have to be a people pleaser, but it does mean that you say, hey, this guy's fair, okay? This guy was honest, he had integrity, and I could, really rely on this guy, okay? Or something to that nature, okay? But it's not just that. It's also the second part is don't jump to conclusions until you figure out exactly what's going on. And it's exactly what this client did. So many a times just take into consideration all the elements before making a judgment. Thank you for joining us for this Motivational Mondays. We'll see you here next week.